a couple minutes once we go live. Give them like 10 seconds, man. You know, bartenders are late to everything.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes I feel like I'm catfishing people when I have a picture with my straight hair. Because
Yes.
it's curly a lot of the times. And so, when I'm lazy or going to have a hard week is when my hair's straight.
Okay, I got that. Makes sense. And I love that this is how we are kicking off this live. Because, see, I don't have those problems. So I'm good. I just pull up and take my hat off and we're good. But we are live. We are here. It is week 3 of Black Leadership and Spirits. I hope you guys have joined in and have enjoyed the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks were great. I got to meet some people that I didn't know. I'm super excited this week because I get to actually talk to one of my friends, somebody I love and care about deeply, somebody who we've teamed up and done events together. We always talking. We're always trying to figure out ways to push the culture forward. So if you don't know who I am, again, I don't know where you've been for the last 10 years, but I am Josh Davis, the founder of Brown and Balance, and I'm sitting here with my wonderfully gorgeous, smart, I'm trying to think of all the adjectives I can think of.
Okay, so stop. I don't like that.
I know, but that's why I'm doing it, because I don't like it either. So when people do it to me, now I have to do it to somebody else. But this is Aleka Ross. She is the cocktail and culture manager of Hotaling. So y'all gonna learn what that is. I don't know what it is. She created a whole position and said, "Dog, you're gonna start working with me. We're gonna start doing stuff for the culture." And I said, "Okay, cool. All right." She's here today. We're gonna talk about her path. We're gonna talk about tips and tricks. You know, there's a lot of different things you can do in this industry. You don't have to just be behind the bar. You don't have to just work for a brand. You don't have to just, develop cocktail programs. There's so many different things we can do in this industry to grow. But Aleka's going to help you figure out the direction you need to go in. And trust me, this is who I call when I need to figure out the directions I need to go in. So you guys better get your pen and pad ready and get ready to learn. But before we do this, I need you guys to go on Facebook, Instagram, like Portland Cocktail Week at PDXCW. That's one thing I need you to do. Second thing I need you to do is go subscribe to this on YouTube, because you can only watch this on Facebook. You can watch it on YouTube and on Instagram as well. Getting them comments, ask questions. I know all of y'all like to text a lot of us Black leaders in this thing at 2, 3 in the morning when you have a random question. And sometimes we can answer, sometimes we can't. But guess what? It's the middle of the day. You have both of us here, even though it's not about me today. Ask Aleka anything you want, and we will get sure to get those up on the screen and get those questions answered. So I don't overtalk it. I'm not the star of the show today. Aleka, this is all about you. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your path in this industry and how we got to this.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all that you do. I struggled, being in this industry growing up, because I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me and reflected. I didn't see a lot of the flavors that I grew up having, from my Indigenous family, from my Black American family, from my Latino family. I didn't see them in the forefront. So sometimes it made me feel as though, should I be here? Yes, you should always be there, because then you have the responsibility and you have the honor and the privilege to give people these experiences. And so for me, I really feel like my current position at Hotaling Co, we are an importer and distiller. We're based in San Francisco. I'm our cocktail culture manager, and we import brands like Nika, Luxardo, Writer's Tears, which you have right in front of you, and Irish whiskey. And yes, that new Luxardo Espresso, our cherries, which are like the standard. It's so good, right?
It's so good.
I know, it's so good. And then we also make products, Junipero and Old Potrero. Those are really forging the way for their category. Junipero was America's first craft gin, and Old Potrero was being distilled from the grain, making it America's first copper pot rye since Prohibition. So, being with this company, there's so much heritage. We always say we have these bartenders' darling brands. And so we wanted to find a way to always stay in the front of mind of bartenders, but also give them a lot more accessibility to our brands in regards to events and the things that we do. So they created this position of cocktail culture manager. When I went to go and look up a cocktail culture manager, there wasn't any point of reference. So you can only imagine how fun that was for negotiations. But it was really cool to say, wow, the market needs a position like this. And, I'm one of the few, first ones that have the title in my name. People might have been doing it, you know, I mean, because we, as you know, brand managers, wear so many hats. But to really dedicate this space out, it shows that Hotaling is really committed to cocktail culture and also just culture around that really elevates and brings together our society and our community.
Word,
Um,
word.
yeah.
I love that. I think one of the first events we did was last year
Mhm.
during Black History Month. We did the event here in Chicago for Speed Rack, which is happening tonight, guys, here in Chicago. Which I'm mad my friend's not here with me today
I know.
just to do it. But that was one of the first events. Can you kind of explain what your job entails? Like I said, you're not just the person that's going to the bar and just swiping. You're
For
not
sure.
the person that's just throwing parties, but you're really focused on bringing communities and cocktails and all that together. If you want to break down like what exactly you do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, us at Holy, we never just swipe, you know, we always go in and we buy consumers cocktails. But outside of that, what we really are grounded in the cocktail culture space is, for instance, one pillar is bringing communities together through the cocktail culture moments and also uplifting communities. One of those ways that we did that was last year. And uplifting communities in spaces that they should be in, but necessarily aren't. And not because they have been oversight, but maybe because they don't know. You
Yeah.
know, I didn't know a lot of things because, as we know, there's different tiers of bartending. So I reached out to Josh last year and I said, hey, I noticed with Speed Rack coming around, there is an opportunity to get a lot of Black and brown bartenders involved, a lot of club bartenders who do the high volume, who we know could crush it at Speed Rack. And let's do a luncheon with them. You know, Lynette was so gracious with her time and she hopped on a Zoom and gave them a rundown of Speed Rack. They all got bar tools because, as we know, even just buying bar tools and giving that barrier to that access to those tools, that's a huge thing. Giving them books so they can read up on these classic cocktails and these philosophies. And then we also took it a step further. They actually got a chance to do a speed round, which
Yeah.
that was so cool. You know, literally coming off the street, not knowing what Speed Rack is about, and then being able to really physically get in there and do it. We leaned on our local support, Marissa Huth, for that. She was a Speed Rack alum. And then we were able to duplicate that program in Denver. And I'm hoping to bring that to life next year. Just because just have more planning. So programs like that are, you know, really what the cocktail culture department for Hotaling really tries to put our foot in. Another one is I have a group of what they call the Cocktail Council. It's a group of brand ambassadors that represent Hotaling in the market space. They're part-time brand ambassadors, and we have one that we probably most have seen on the screen, Erica Flowers. This is my shining rising star. She's so, I mean, there's
Yeah.
not enough good things to say about her.
Yeah.
She's so good. And then we also have Shannon Mustafer, Eric Tennyson, Glendon Hartley, and Alex Jump. Such a really well-rounded group of people who hit different parts of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, I manage all of our large-scale tentpole events, our activations, and our education. So just a little bit of light work to make sure that we stay somewhat relevant in this oversaturation that's coming.
I get it. So let's talk about career paths. Like I've had a very unorthodox in the industry, and she's happy before she gets jaded by this industry a little bit, and she's so excited to be here because think about it. When you're a young bartender, you 9 times out of 10 you go from bar back, bartender, bar manager, brand rep, then you maybe go on the distribution side of things, right? And that's what most people think the lifespan of what hospitality workers do is. What
Yeah.
would you go back and say to your young self as you're getting into this industry to kind of figure out your career path?
Yeah. Great question. And that's so true. We do think like it's a very linear,
Mm-hmm.
you know, ascension. I always take a piece of advice that my father gave me. And I was young and probably a little bit dumb starting work at 15, but he was like, he couldn't tell me no. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And he said, okay, well, if you do it, or when you do it, because he knows I wasn't going to listen to him, that whatever you do, no matter what you do, strive to be the best. I don't care. He would say, I don't care if you are picking up trash. I don't care if you are wiping down a table. You be the best at that, because what that puts you in a mindset of mastery and learning. And when you're continually thinking at something where I always need to learn, then you just see the world in a different way, and you can see the world and allow for solutions. From that mindset, because I'm also triple Aries and I have ADHD, so you can only imagine the craziness that goes on. I wanted to learn every aspect of every job wherever I was at. When I was at a restaurant and I was like, okay, yeah, I could do the front of house stuff, but I want to do back of house too. I was a pastry assistant, I was helping with like loading in the food orders. And then for moving away from that, I always, let's say I did become like a trainer. I was like, well, what best can I do to the employee who is not quite clicking, that it is not really, they're not being a part of the team? How can I make them feel wanted, or how can I see it from their perspective? And that's another thing I would always say is your reality, yes, is your reality, but also be open to hearing other people's realities because it can also help you with yours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I would say those two things I would really reiterate and just keep on saying to yourself, and also just always keep learning. Never stop learning. It is, once you think you know something, you don't know it.
Right.
So
Hey, that's true. I mean, but that's the right attitude to have. Like for me, my dad always told me, hey, just be yourself, right? Just keep pushing forward. What's for you is going to come for you. And that helped me. One, I mean, you say you triple Aries. I'm a Gemini. So you already know. I'm always fighting with myself, and I'm always super competitive to try to be the best at everything I do. Like if I'm not the best, then I feel like a failure. And that's just my attitude to want to be great. How do you, because that's, our attitudes are similar, but like how do you cope with, let's say, you're dealing with a bar owner, or you're dealing with your manager, you're dealing with somebody like that. They're stressed out. Now they're stressing you out, and you're trying to bridge that gap to keep everything going. Like, what's some ways you think some of these younger bartenders coming behind us could use some skills and some things they could use to kind of help push forward and push through that adversity?
Yeah. And full transparency, this is something I'm currently working on. That triple Aries in me, I'm so quick to react. I have a fiery attitude, And so I always say first is get with yourself first, figure out, I don't like to using the word triggers anymore because triggers says that someone has the ability to control you, but figure out what makes you tick. When you're feeling a little antsy or you notice that like your body is literally responding to what someone's saying, take note of that, because then that will allow you to really check yourself first before you check somebody,
Facts.
And so if I was having a communication breakdown with someone, is take that moment, pause, and I always ask questions. Well, what did you mean by that? What I'm seeing from this situation is X, Y, and Z. And also going back to that point of having sympathy and empathy for people and understanding their reality. They may have just got off of a call, their liquor order isn't coming in, their line chef just called out, they just got an inspector, or the inspector just came in from the health department. And you know what? Something just blew in the kitchen. And then you're coming to them with something else to add. They have to problem solve. I would also maybe always approach, instead of with the problem, with the solution as well.
Right.
If you have something with your managers, think about, because a lot of times if you come with a solution, you might get approved because you've taken a lot of the work away from them.
Yeah.
So take a moment, know yourself first, take a moment in that, ask questions, and then come with solutions with your concerns.
Wow.
That's how I would really like to approach any communication breakdowns.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna work on that because I'm just like you. I'm just blow everything up and then we'll figure it out.
Listen, right? I'm still working on it, but
therapy. Hey, black
I know
men,
the steps now.
The therapy, it helps. Trust me.
Yes.
So we met before COVID. You know what I mean? We were friends in the market, and just the job market, the industry, everything was completely different. So post COVID, how would you, like, if somebody was asking you, hey, how do I become the cocktail culture manager? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? What's some advice you would give someone that's out here looking now?
Absolutely. Before, I always like to ask people before they ask, or when they ask me, like, how do I get to be your position? I say, well, what do you want to do? Because you may, what I do may not necessarily be what you want. Because to your point, a lot of people see us out here having a good time, posting on the Instagram and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. But to really know what goes behind that, you have to figure out what you want first. Right now, the marketplace, I kind of say it's kind of like the wild, wild west in a way where there's so much opportunity for you. Bar owners, they are so strapped with bandwidth. Kind of speaking to our point earlier, they have so many things to do. And so they not only do they have to run a bar, now you have to be on top of social media, you have to have specials, you have to be changing not just your digital, formats, but also like your in-house like paper products,
Mm-hmm.
constantly having to do things. And you have to realize or we have to sometimes realize that restaurants, we are an industry for the most part that doesn't have too much marketplace change when it comes to workforce,
Right.
when it comes to how the restaurant is. You sit down, obviously there's like different iterations, you get your meal, you pay, and that's pretty much kind of what it is throughout the whole. But with COVID, it changed the workforce. Now you have a workforce of people that maybe not see the hospitality career as a longevity career,
Mm-hmm. It's a stopgap.
as
Yeah. They see
exactly as a stopgap for sure. I think when me and you were coming up, we were so honored to be able to like work in these establishments and didn't see myself as a servant, but actually serving somebody an experience,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, we were able to just see and frame our life a little bit differently. How the work or the marketplace is right now, or because these owners have to do all these things, but they can't afford all of the digital, market space things that they really need to come to life. Having a digital agency on top of having PR, on top of paying your staff, like who has all that money?
Yeah.
But what is so abundant right now is the dynamic workforce that is at the hospitality industry. You had people coming in from content creation world. You had people coming in who are graphic designers, people who probably written, copy before. All of these skill sets that we don't necessarily think that would transfer over to the industry, they absolutely do. So it's just trying to figure out what's going on with the market space and how can I take my skill sets that I have right now and instead of coming to a problem, bring a solution.
That's what's up. Now watch how I segue this. Speaking
Yeah.
of skill sets, this is the commercial part of this. Hey everybody, if y'all have been tuning in to the Black Leadership, there is another brand, and I'm not going to say the name because today is all about Aleka and Hotaling. But there's another brand that is offering y'all a chance to get a scholarship to get your CSS, your Certified Experience Specialist. My super producer going to drop the link on there real quick, and we're going to get you guys. Please get signed up. Please take advantage of this opportunity. I always say it. We always, especially being Black and brown in this industry, we always talk about it's not a level playing field. We talk about opportunities not for that don't come to us as often, and all of that is true. But when we have a brand that is willing to say, "Hey, fill out this little application, do this quick little essay, and we will pay for you to do something to help further your career," take advantage of it, guys. So it'll pop in the screen, it'll pop in the comments. Just click the link, take your time, think about it. I'm very sure Aleka, myself, some other Black leaders, you can reach out to us. We can help you write your way through it if you haven't done anything like that before. But get involved and take a chance. All right, now that's done.
No, I love that because get involved because I'm actually currently right now studying for my CSS.
See,
So I can have a study buddy.
see,
Right. But I think another thing, something you said that really hit me is don't make them say no. Like if you come to a resume with your resume and you have your CSS, you've bartended, you can also have some transferable skills. And they have this other candidate. Now, sometimes we know sometimes there's like things aren't always level playing field, but at a certain level, especially in the bar field, they do get level playing field. And so don't let them say no. Just be so qualified, but they can't.
Yeah, actually be overqualified.
Yeah.
That. I mean, it's Black History Month.
That's what you're used to.
Black and brown people, we got to be twice as good to get half of the credit. So, hey, just be overqualified. There's nothing wrong with that. And like you said, continue to learn. Like I learn something new every day. Every time we talk about events, we talk about planning things out. I learn something new. It's always a chance for us to grow in this industry, but we have to take the initiative on ourselves.
Absolutely. We really do. You are the painter of your own destiny. You really are.
Oh, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
That's my Facebook status later on today. I'm gonna tag you. Don't worry about
Yeah, because I mean, I think we can get, because we are in such a fast-paced environment in the industry and things happen, so we are resilient because we can bounce back, but we can get into why is this person doing that? Well, I'm getting passed up for this opportunity. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, you got to look why, and see. So absolutely.
At a certain point, like I tell my son's 21, he's trying to figure, you got shit to get off the pot. Like
Absolutely.
you can't, yes, there are disadvantages when you look like us. Yes, there are systematic things that have been in place for years, long before we ever came into this earth, and they'll probably be here long after we leave. But at a certain point, we got to figure out the workaround, right? And you got to get your niche. That's where Brown and Balance came from. I said, hey, I tried the brand route. Hey, it was cool. I liked it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I worked at bars. I've managed bars. I've been a partner, but I've done it all, right? And I said, my lane is community building and bringing everybody together, and then partnering with the brands, with people like yourself, say,
exactly.
hey, these are my ideas. Now, did that work for me? Yes. Is that going to work for the next person? No, the next person might just say, hey, I'm going to be a brand rep and I'm going to figure out my way to bring it back to my community. Or they're going to say, hey, I'm going to reach out and we're going to create a position like yours to do things like that. When people want to do that, I know mentorship is a big thing in this industry. People call me their mentor. I do not accept that. I just say, hey, I just got a little game and I'm gonna give it to you to help the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like that word mentor kind of puts you in a position like I'm up here and you're not. And it's like, no, we're all here. We're all fighting the fight together. What would be your advice? Like when people want to do the next steps to get into what you do, what I do, what do you think are some things they should trying to look for the word, trying to garner to be able to go in that direction?
Absolutely. I think one we've already hit on it for sure is your skill sets. And here's the thing, you guys, yourselves. If you really want to get honest with yourself, the things that that isn't hitting right. Like when I was bartending, one of the things is I would notice like this person, the way that they like would pour the bottle was so much more efficient than I did, So if that's the case, I started looking at their hand placement. I started looking at their wrist placement, look the things that you want to really improve upon in yourself. Mentorship, reach out for mentors. As Josh said, yes, a lot of us are hella busy. It's the game. And so don't go into it with a mindset of I'm going to expect X, Y, and Z from them. Go with it with like, I'm going to get what they can give me. And you have no idea sometimes where that little tidbit, where it could carry you. I would also look at the skills that you currently have and what you like to do. Do you like counting bottles at the end of the night in inventory? Right? You may not, but guess what? That person who does, that might be a position for you. And like, at a stocking warehouse or in supply chain, do you like, doing the numbers at night and running that PX, sheet and figuring out the financials? You might be a finance person, and that finance person in the industry can really, first of all, that's stability, right? We always need a finance department, but you can take that from not just the industry, like, our hospitality, but anywhere. Do you like, for instance, being consumer facing? Then you may be a brand ambassador. Just figure out your skill sets, talk to a mentor, talk to someone in the industry, and know that like it doesn't always have to be people facing. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, merchandisers, working for your distributor, working for the local government. We have these liquor boards, working for Discus, who is the largest lobbying partner for the alcohol industry. So just taking our industry as a whole, and like you could be very influential in working for the state of Pennsylvania, because everything that everything that a restaurant has to buy, they have to get it through the liquor board, which is the off-premise liquor stores. If you work for the state of Pennsylvania, you determine everything that comes in to those liquor stores. So we do have the fun-facing, glamorous jobs, but there's so much more that happens behind the scenes. Absolutely. So figure out what your skill set is, what you really like, because like Josh said, he took what he was good at and what he liked and then applied it to a subset where a whole is. Do you like creating content? I know so many people right now who are running their own social handles for their restaurants who would love help Get 5 restaurants on your roster where you're doing customer, their social media for them right there. Boom. Or here's another aspect. Do you love attending events or planning them? But you know what? Maybe not going to them is your thing, but you love the logistics and being the person with the clipboard. You know how many restaurants right now need that like event organizer, or they do these pop-ups and they need someone just to handle that small piece. You handling that small piece for, once again, 5 or 6 different restaurants, that's your extra income. There's free resources like Canva. You can go on and you can create a logo, you can create decks. I mean, and you can even do all of your copy through things like Chat GPT. So really figuring out the resources and overlaying them with your skill sets.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like an old man because I'm like, nowadays you literally all you need is your phone, and you can literally create your whole entire
You really
brand,
can.
and you can do it with just your phone. I remember I had to write everything down. We had to copy stuff. We had to get stuff printed. Like the world now is so streamlined when it comes to technology. Like no matter what you want to do in this industry, you can figure it out, and you can literally figure it out while you're on the train or after.
Literally.
You can, anytime. So my super producer got in my ear and told me we got a question coming up. So I'm
Let's
gonna
get
wait
this
for it to pop on the
question.
screen. All right. Ooh, this is good. So from Miss Jasmine Jones, what's the pathway look like from bartender to bar educator, if that position exists? I'm not really looking to sell brands. I want to support and love on my industry community. Or is being a brand rep how you have the financial ability and reach to be a good educator? That's a great
I
question.
love this question because of the dynamic. Oh, I love this question
That's a
because the
great
dynamic,
question.
of how the industry is right now. Let's say 3 years or 5 years ago, I would say, you know what? Get your brand rep job, sell bottles, blah, blah, blah. But once again, like people would, I hire, for instance, Tracy Franklin. It's a great, yeah, it's a great example of if the brand route necessarily isn't for you. Let's say you wanted to be a category educator, right? I would recommend first step is getting your CSS or your WSET, because if you are going to be an educator, you need to have some type of certification for a brand to say, I can write you this check and I know that they've done their due diligence without having to research on their own all of your profiles and all that stuff. So that'd be my first step, is really figure out what type of, or there's also bar 5-day as well. What certifications in what field that you would want to do. These positions do, exist for brands. I will say a lot of the, what they call advocacy, those were kind of where the brand ambassador jobs tend to sit under. You'll see like brand ambassador, part-time. Those tend, traditionally, they were just like trade facing, making presentations, but they have a lot of sales aspects into it. They're starting to make it more of a hybrid role. But if you wanted to not be with a brand, this, I would say, thirdly, is to become a category. Ian Burrell has also done a good job of this. Glendon Hartley has done a good job of this, being these category, educators. So that does going to take a lot of, research of that category, being an expert, and then come up with a presentation, come up with a seminar topic, flesh that seminar topic out, put that deck together and start pitching it to brands. For instance, Hotaling Co, we have 6 gins, 1,001 whiskeys, so if someone came to me and they were like, hey, like I have this idea, for we did this a couple years ago, but like for a World of Gin seminar. And I want to talk about sourcing botanicals and like the distillation process of different gins and all this stuff. I would be like, yes, you are doing so much work for me that I can then take this program and you can just plug and play it into different brands. Shannon Mustafer is another great example of someone who's done this. She has a Rums with a View presentation that she can plug and play any rum brand in because it's more of a category. So that's what I would say is like really see where you're passionate about, get that certification, start thinking about topics to really build out, and then build it out and start pitching brands.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, I mean, you look at a person like Teray Folks, with Turn the Tables. You look at me, Brown and Balance. You look at Ashton Berry. You look at Capri and Mike up there with Chocolate City. There's so many people that we necessarily didn't go into it with, I want to do a brand thing, but I want to do a community thing. And you figure out your lane. Everybody like Turning Tables more educational and mentorship. Soccer City's Best has a competition. Brown and Balance has events and bringing notice to young and up and coming bartenders. Just figure out what lane you want to step into, right? Or figure out what you're good at. You know what I mean? Like I will never be. I'm not the scientist, cocktail nerd, breakdown stuff. I can make a great cocktail now, but I knew where my strength was, and I think once you figure out what your strength is, the sky is the limit. You can literally create your own movement, your own thing, and just run with it until the wheels fall off. So
it's so true. And two things to add on to that too is research other industries. Our industry is there's so much overlap in the hair community and anything that is like, service driven, and see what they're doing, because they might be offering something that we should be doing too. And then another thing is, don't be too tied to your idea. Be open for edits, be open for collaboration, because if you're too stuck, sometimes you might be closing yourself off to something that is make your idea even better and reach more people.
Man, it's such a great conversation. I feel like we're on the phone. Like I don't even feel like on camera. This is like a phone call conversation. So I want to thank you, because we're not getting out of here yet, but I want to thank you just for your knowledge, for your expertise, just being here, being an example, being a pillar in the community and in the bigger community, you know what I mean, as well. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No, I appreciate, I don't like to do the front facing stuff so much. So I really appreciate you pushing me. And anyone out there, my Instagram is Aleka on the Rocks. I am so open to all of the knowledge and the resources that I have gained throughout my career. Maybe I make myself too accessible sometimes, but I do feel like that's one of my purposes on earth, is to be a conduit of information for everyone, because I have been given such honor and privilege to be in certain rooms that a lot of us just won't be in. And so I want to make sure I'm not gatekeeping anything, and then also just improving upon that information for all of you all.
Young bartenders, you see how she was media trained. I didn't have to ask her how to find herself. She told you guys how to do it. Talk to bartenders like Aleka, myself, Tiffany Barry, people that have been like in magazines and do TV and different things like that, because that's also a big component.
It is.
You might just be the bartender that Channel 5, Channel 12, whatever calls, and brands start to call you to do spots and different things.
That's a great point to pick out. That's one thing that Erica Flowers has did such a great job with is, talk about mentoring, is when she was part of the Cocktail Council, she came to me with this opportunity that she had for Good Day Louisiana, or My Great Day Louisiana. Sorry, I always get those confused. And we talked about it, and I said, you know what? A lot of times these showrunners, they're looking for people for the whole entire year. So how about you pitch them, what you have for the next 6 months? And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's because of this, but I'm just saying like she was able to then get bookings, and she's on that show regularly.
Good.
Once again, because she came with a solution to someone's, problem, and she did the due diligence and did the work. And there's just so many opportunities out there that are like that.
You got to jump out the window and just do it. I had a brand that reached out to me to do one TV spot. Now I do all their TV spots in Chicago.
Exactly.
It's like sometimes you gotta just jump out there and give it a try. Like, they only miss the shots you don't take. Shout out to my
I was gonna say that too. Is like another thing I've also been very bold in my career, and it's actually, proved and very positive, is just ask the question. Ask them. The worst they can say is no. People they're like, well, how did you get that? I'm like, I just emailed them. A lot of times in our heads, we assume that because someone works at the state government, or because someone is this person, that they are so not accessible, or maybe your imposter syndrome may kick in. And it's like, do I deserve? Yes, you deserve to talk to them. You are, to your point, mentors in this, like no one's above anyone. So like the worst they can say is no, but ask and reach out. Your craziest idea, bring it to life. Like think extreme, think big, because that is where the needle really gets moved, especially for our community.
Absolutely. I tell people.
And then another thing is, I want to say this, is reach out to your community. Reach out to your people. You may have no idea. It's kind of like the Issa Rae, philosophy. Instead of going to like an Ava DuVernay and saying, I want to work for you, bring in all the people from your community. You probably have a videographer, a photographer, a copywriter, all of this. And you look around, you're like, I have a business, you know, and yes, it does get tricky with friends. So make sure we're signing contracts, or,
LLC.
you know, we're having your LLC, we're paying the taxes, you know, and all that stuff. But, you know, we sometimes, I feel, and I think it's getting better, that things are so unattainable, but it's literally at your fingertips.
A text message, one text message, one social media post can change everything for you. So,
really can.
Yeah,
it
speaking
really
of
can.
social media posts, we have this wonderful shout out to Kasira Hill. If y'all don't know who Kasira Hill is, she does all the graphics for Brown and Balance, 99% of the graphics for everybody else in the industry. We teamed up and we created the Black in Leadership recipe guide and spirits, and we're gonna pop up the Hotaling one. So this is what it is. It's a PDF. My super producers will put the link of this in the comments. Download this, put it on your phone, put it on your tablet, wherever you need. You're gonna get to know the first two guests that came on the first 2 weeks. You're gonna get to know Aleka a little bit better. You're gonna get to know our next guest in the Black Leadership and Spirits. You're gonna get cocktails, recipes that were made by yours truly. I still got it a little bit here and there, but let's go. We'll go to the Hotaling one. Let's talk about Writer's Tears. What is Writer's Tears? One. Also, before we do that, guys, Aleka's gonna have to come back and teach everybody how to send care packages to Boston. Because when the care package came to my house, I had a great afternoon. I'm just gonna put that out there, and I'm gonna leave it there. But let's talk about Writer's Tears, and then I'll get into the 5 Heartbeats cocktail I created.
Yes, I love Writer's Tears. So we, as I mentioned, we're an importer and distiller. We literally have over 32 brands and counting.
Wow.
And this was a really beautiful addition to the portfolio a couple years ago. It was from the Walsh family portfolio. So they have Writer's Tears, and they also have the Irishman, and they are really bringing back proper copper pot distillation and not using any blending whiskeys in this whiskey itself. What's so nice about this iteration itself is the single pot still. So a lot of times people will run it through a column still, they'll run it through a pot still, but this is all 100 done on a single pot still. And this is more of a premium Irish whiskey. It's aged in ex-bourbon barrels. As we know, for it to be an Irish whiskey, it has to be aged for 2 years and a day. We're aging ours a little bit longer, coming in at just under 3 years. And I will say this one is the copper pot, so it's ex-bourbon. We also have a double oak that's finished in ex-cognac barrels. And that one right there, it's like these two, I'm always grabbing, like, which one do I do?
You have my address. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. So Writer's Tears, you know, I would really go for this one if I am making a classic, you know, like an Irish coffee, or like your twisted, your 5 Heartbeats.
I'm going to get it. We're going to see your wonderful face. And now the 5 Heartbeats. So it's 5 ingredients in the cocktail. It's Black History Month. If you're Black, you grew up in the 90s watching the 5 Heartbeats movie. It's an amazing movie. But also, Aleka, you were one of the inspirations from this. The Revolver cocktail was created by a bartender in San Francisco in the early 2000s. So I took their recipe, I kind of flipped it on the side and incorporated all these ingredients, the Luxardo, the cherries, bitters, and of course the star of the show, Writer's Tears. So you were my inspiration for this.
Oh, thanks. I love the cinnamon syrup. That's my low key. I love a cinnamon syrup, and I love a rosemary syrup.
Gotcha. So I'll ship you syrup.
Okay, and I'll get you
ship me more. We'll do that. But no, it's a wonderful spirit. You're a wonderful person. I like I said, you're my real friend. Even if we both left this industry tomorrow, I feel like we still be really, really good friends. I appreciate you, everything you bring to the industry, the example you are to young, up and coming Black female bartenders, or Black women bartenders, or Black identifying women bartenders. You are truly one of the people that they can look to as an inspiration to be great in this game. So thank you for your time today.
It's my pleasure. And I always say it's because of like the industry that pushes me to be my best self. Like I am like the Black and brown bartenders right now, they're fucking, they're so like, it's
fire. I love it.
It's literally inspired me. I'm like, what can I do to get that person showcased? What can I do to bring this all together? You know, because we've always had it, you know, and now is our time. So let the world know, y'all. Let them know, the world know that you're out here and you're more than just a bartender, right? We're all more than bartenders. We're our own brands, and just really show that.
That's it. There's no, I'm not even gonna add anything to it. That's the best way to end the show today. Guys, y'all heard it here first. So Aleka on the rocks, DM her to get in tune with her. If you have questions, don't slide in the DM with foolishness, because she got a big brother over here that'll come find you. So we're not gonna do that. Slide in the DMs if you're serious and if you don't want to waste her time, because this is a very busy woman. That's why I'm not gonna hold it too much longer today. You can find me at Mr. Mixologist, and you can find me at Brown and Balanced if you need any questions, anything. Like I said, guys, there's an opportunity to get almost $1,000 package for your CSS done. The link will pop up. Click on it. If you have any questions, please ask one of us. If we have the time and the bandwidth, we'll help you. If not, I'm very sure, and I feel comfortable speaking for Aleka in this, we will point you in the right direction if we can't help you.
Absolutely.
Like, share, Portland Cocktail Week at PDXCW, Facebook, Instagram. Don't even hit the love button. That's what we want. Hit the love button. We're not liking things around here anymore. We have a company that has truly shown themselves to be allies. They have truly shown themselves to be upstanding people who want to help. They put a crazy fool like me on TV. So, you know, they only want to see the best. All right. They want to see the best for all of us. So please, guys, like, share, get involved, get some traction. We will see you back again with one more final interview. I'm not going to tell you who, like I always do, because they just keep getting better and better and better every week. And I can't wait for the last one, because the last one is another really, really good friend of mine. So we will see you guys there. Download that PDF. Go buy yourself some Writer's Tears, or ask Aleka to send you 900 bottles like in my house, and you'll be all good. All right. And we'll see you guys soon. Peace.
All right. Bye.